The Garden Report is powered by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to another edition of the Garden Report. Coming back from the 4th of July weekend, and some new developments on the Wyc Grousbeck sale of the Celtics, and that came mostly in the Boston Globe over the weekend as more details became available over Wyc's intentions and the ownership dynamic in this group here, and potential suitors for the team. Mostly the first two, and Dan Shaughnessy piece for the Boston Globe. He pointed toward this being a Irv Grousbeck directive as he pushes toward 90, as he tries to put his family considerations into place, and as the team's evaluation obviously skyrockets compared to that initial purchase. He, as the money behind the team here, is making this decision, and Wyc Grousbeck, who Dan noted in the piece, has a much smaller share. He mentioned actually 2% of the team technically. Wyc mentioning that it's a family investment as a whole. So some big revelations there in terms of why Grousbeck is doing this. And no new official names in terms of suitors, though Steve Pagliuca, of course, who Wyc Grousbeck was on CNBC today talking about, or over the weekend, as his biggest co-partner in managing the Celtics, and credited him to making the Danny Ainge decision. He, of course, if you had to pick among the many possible names right now, and all kinds of wacky ones are, of course, getting thrown around, would be the favorite in many eyes to take over the Celtics, and probably the best choice here, given his continuity with Grousbeck, his basketball acumen by all accounts, and I think the biggest third note you're looking for there is whether they can sustain high payrolls, high tax penalties under his ownership, and whoever else would become part of that group. I'm sure there'd be a lot of carryover there, and I'm sure there would need to be some additional pieces brought in. But I also don't think you can rule out yet the John Henry possibility, and though some skepticism emerged on that front in a Boston Globe story where Henry points toward there, despite his hesitation to say so on the record, probably no more room in their portfolio right now. He said they got their hands full between the Red Sox, the Penguins, the racing investments that they have right now, NASCAR, as well as the PGA Tour investment that they're currently undertaking. And I think Henry's still more of a Red Sox story as they try to navigate their summer and figure out what their level of investment's going to be in that team as they get going and position themselves into playoff contention. But you can't rule them out on the periphery of the Celtics discussion either right now. Obviously, their intention is to buy an NBA team at some point. You would have thought previously, before these comments in the Globe. Vegas, Henry, long connected, and of course you have the LeBron James angle there too, as part of that Fenway investment group. He has long pointed toward desiring to be part of an NBA ownership group as well. Now, is Vegas a better option? There'll be a big expansion fee there. There will be a big deduction in terms of the revenue sharing that they would deal with early on. But how does that contrast against the kind of luxury tax payments that you're undertaking as Celtics owner right away with all these extensions and a massive, massive payroll? We're going to see how that continues to expand when Sam Hauser becomes extension eligible on Tuesday. It could be an even bigger salary/tax commitment in 2026. So what's the cost there? What benefits do you get out of not being the owners of TD Garden, maybe having to build a new arena, as many speculate right now, versus Vegas? You do have an arena out there already. You would have a much, much smaller payroll annually there, but you wouldn't be getting that revenue sharing as ownership often goes, and you'd be paying the big expansion fee. So how does that even out for a group like Fenway? They maybe made their intentions clear on that by those comments from Henry there, at least as the Celtics sale goes on in the background. Now, Grousbeck wouldn't comment on Henry as a suitor specifically. Did say that it doesn't necessarily have to be a Boston group. He was joking around about one of the Yankees owners that he's friends with, not pointing toward that being a buyer, but that there could be an outside buyer there, and there's no one specifically emerging yet. Names are being tossed around in those lines and everything else right now, but there's no clear emergence from a Henry, from one of the super rich guys like an Ellison, whose name was tossed around, or Jeff Bezos yet. So is this a desirable investment for someone who's trying to make money here? Is this just going to be a slide over to Pagliuca? Or could Henry emerge? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I still think there's a lot of debate about that. Obviously, they've had a lot of success with the Red Sox, but in recent years, that's just become more of a notorious name given some of the cost cutting and inattentiveness to the team that's gone on there from that ownership group. But obviously, this is a big, big developing story. We're getting more details almost by the day here. And it's not great. Again, this is an ownership group that's been stable. As Shaughnessy wrote, a lot of success here for this group, a lot of investment in the team and presence around the team as well, which is more than anything, I think, what you're looking for here. Presence, attentiveness, and money, investment. Who's going to be able to sustain this payroll, this team's ability to contend in this new NBA dynamic here, where it's tough to stay in that luxury tax for very long if you don't have deep pockets. Even the Clippers and Nets and Warriors of the world are starting to back out of that. So what's it going to look like? No clear picture here, but I don't think you can rule out Henry yet. And Pagliuca, probably that favorite right now. So we'll have more coverage of that as it develops. Go to CLNS Media. Go to Celtics All Access. Subscribe for more coverage of that. And, of course, show our sponsors some love. Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Get 100% matching bonus. Up to $100 right now. WNBA baseball going on right now. So still plenty to look for there. And Game Time. Game Time. Go to the Game Time app. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase over there. Of course, terms apply. Go to the Game Time app. I'm Barry Mann. This has been a new edition of the Garden Report.